Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Week 9 recap of the McHunker Sluggers League. Week 9 was a pretty good week, considering the matchups that we had going into it. Everybody thought it was going to be just an okay week, but there's some pretty darn good games that came out of this week. And the first one was the Monster Mash. The Monsters versus the Vermonsters. Well, technically Vermonsters at Monsters. There's a lot of monsters going on right now, so let's get into the game. The Monsters took the lead early within this game, and they just never looked back. Bowser got an insane home run to kind of start the game off with, and the Monsters just could never find their footing, which is kind of interesting because they're usually a team that can get a lot of fire built under them. And it seems like Bowser took all of that away from them. Bowser was looking like his Season 1 self, and more importantly, his pre-Slugger War self. I think that is very important to note here. Anyways, everybody was scared when he stepped up to bat. Even his own teammates looked scared, like frightened, because he was just hitting nukes and bombs all day. It was insane. K. Rool is still struggling, and his presence in here would have been a game changer. Just someone to really combat Bowser with his slugging ability here would have been nice, but K. Rool unfortunately couldn't do anything here. Bowser was your game MVP. No surprise there, I think. He played amazing. We were able to get a quote from Bowser after the game ended, and he said, "Anyone saying I'm washed, just watched the GOAT put on his specialty. We are going to the finals this year and picking up our first MCSL trophy." Those are some big words from the big fella, especially how he's been playing for most of the season. But if he keeps playing like he was in this game, it's not crazy to say that the Monsters might go to the finals this year. Then we got a quote from K. Rool himself, and he said, "I've got to be playing better. I'm in my own head right now, but once I get out of it, we're going to be locked in. The goal has always been making it back to the finals. It still is. We just need to make it easier on ourselves. And once we make it easier on ourselves, winning the finals will be easier." Those are some good words, and I'm not biased towards the Vermonsters by any means. I think those are some great words from K. Rool. Then we had Browntown at Rings. In the first 7 innings of this game were absolutely peak. It was just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. No one team could really get the lead or get the jump on the other one. And it was close, it was hard fought, but that's the way that the Rings have always liked it. Inning 8 is where the Rings just took it away. They made it 10-6, and the Browntown could just never come back from that. That's where the game would end. Sadly, after just an amazing 7 innings, some interesting plays and egregious plays by Green Guy kind of led to this as well. Hammer Bro was the MVP of this game, and the Rings will be dangerous. And I repeat, they will be a dangerous team if he can keep playing this way. He was one of the reasons that they were so good last season, and his decline has seen the team decline, like as a whole. So if his energy is up, I think the rest of the team's energy will be up. And Browntown continues struggling as they have lost every game since week 4. They started out 3-0, and since then they are 3-6, which is tough. And the manager is not taking that too well, if I'm being completely honest. But for the first time this season, the Rings have a positive record. I repeat, that's crazy. That's crazy that is a statistic that I'm telling you right now, as they won the championship last year. Just let that sink in. We were able to get a quote from Hammer Bro, and he said, "I can't lie, this season has been a down year for me. There's been a lot outside of the game that we've been sorting out, that I've been sorting out behind the scenes here. But I'm back. You just saw what I can do when I'm back and when I'm playing at the best of my ability. And the last thing I'll say here is, I'll just keep doing it." Whew, kinda hard. I'm hard. And then we get a quote from Wario, which he says, "Wah," or something like that. That's probably how he would sound. Anyways, we know we can win any game. We just need to stop slipping. There are crucial moments in every game where we slip and we lose because of it. We need to plant our feet in the ground. We need to stand our ground, and we need to finish these games and win them. Yeah, that is baseball there, Wario. Okay, all right. Then we had the Magiones at the Noodlers. This was arguably like game of the year, if not game of the year contendant. But I think it was just game of the year, man. Oh wow. By the 7th inning, it was 9-3. Magions were ahead by a lot, and everybody thought the game was over. But it was an interesting 7 innings, even though it was like kind of a blowout here. But the Magions were just striking on every cylinder. They look like a well-oiled machine. They look like a team that could beat any team in the league here. The eighth and the ninth, though, the Noodlers just had this insane rally. Just had a fire lit under their ass, and they came back. They got 6 runs in 2 innings to tie the game to bring it to OT. D-Day was a big help to the Noodlers in this. He was just making some clutch plays towards the end. Yellow Pianta was doing some mad plays. Piss Wizard was doing some crazy plays. But in OT, it was funky, which then went to Blowed, which then went to Grode, which got Funky home, which led them to winning the game. And the Noodlers' fire had just been put out from that somehow. That run really just stopped them, and they just could not come back from that. And Grode was your MVP for this game. And we get a quote from Grode, Green Toad, if you don't know his nickname. I'm just using slang. Anyways, he said, "My team needed me and my bro, and we showed up." His bro probably being Blue Toad or Blowed. Anyways, not just for overtime, but for the whole game. We are barely in the playoffs right now, and I want to make that a definite instead of a barely. We got sloppy at the end. We need to make sure that we're playing good ball until that game is called. We cannot be letting teams come back like this. Come on, Grode, that's some good words out of you. Then we have a quote from D-Day. He said, "That 8th and ninth inning was some of the best baseball we have played as a team all season." This is something I want all of us to remember. I want all of us to bring that energy to every inning of every game we play from now on. We are not mathematically out of the playoffs, so we need to keep playing hard so that we are mathematically in. Ooh, I love D-Day. D-Day's, I'm not biased at any means. I can't be biased, but D-Day is one of my favorite players. Anyways, then we had the Simians at the Monarchs. This game started 2-2 with Flitter hitting a nasty home run after being called bad and not and the worst critter. So he instantly shut up the commentators when he did that. The Simians would then make the game 2-7, where it got really boring. I mean, really bad. Like, just bad baseball from both teams. It was bad defense and bad offense, both mixing, and just nothing happened at all. Dangerous Killer hit a home run that Kalen and KB just didn't buddy jump for, which was like, what's going on here? And that was kind of like the catalyst for them taking that 5-point lead over the Monarchs. But in the 8th, the Monarchs found some life and led themselves to a rally to make the game 7-7. KB had an amazing home run. Everybody was just hitting really well. It was great to see live. It was amazing. The crowds were chanting various things that I can't really repeat if I'm going to be completely honest. But at the top of the 10th, 7-7, KB hits a home run to make it 10-7, and that would be just too much for the Simians to overcome. They would get a single run in the bottom of the 10th to make it 10-8, but they just couldn't do anything. And this win has led the Monarchs to their first ever positive record in franchise history. Remember, we've only had 2 seasons, so not a lot of time. But last season they were 3-13, so the fact that they have had a positive record this season is a major improvement. We were able to interview King Boo after the game, and this is what he said: "I will always put my soul into this game and into this franchise. They all thought at the beginning of the season we'd be bottom feeders, and they were wrong. We are showing them that no matter what happens in the game, no matter how down bad we are, we can get the job done, and that we're done choking these games away." I don't know if that's true, but that was true for this game. We tried to get an interview from Donkey Kong, Dangerous Killer, drinking Kool-Aid if you may, and he refused the interview, which is interesting. That's the first time in MCSL history that this has ever happened. So I don't know. We just didn't get a quote from him this time. Then we had the Kangaroos at DDP, and I'm just going to be completely honest with you. This was like the worst game of the week for sure, just to watch. The first inning, PD hits a homer to make it 2-0, and that's where the game could have realistically ended. It was never close. The game ended 14-5, Kangaroos winning, in a game where it was just offensively never close, and defensively never close, I guess, if you want to spin that narrative. I'm sorry, there's really just not too much to say here. The Roos looked really good offensively and defensively, like they were just tearing apart the DDP in every single way. DDP looked bad, but they put up 5 runs, which left the Kangaroos manager not that happy. He said that they played really sloppy, even though they won 14-5. I just want to make that very clear. Anyways, them putting up 5 against the Roos, I think, is a win for them, especially just considering how good this Roos team is. PD wins the MVP. Of course, who else would win the MVP? We interviewed Bug Coop for the first time ever this season, and he said, "I'm at the beginning of my baseball career, but I'm showing that I'm going to end a legend. I'm grateful for the Kangaroos. Without them, I'd still be sitting on the bench last season and this season. I'm showing why it's stupid to do that and what I bring to the team and why I should never, ever be a bench player ever again in my career." Wow. Wow, Bug. Those are some big words. Anyways, we were then able to interview Ultranate. And this is what he said: "I'm tired of them asking about rigging. I don't care to tell them anymore. They are distracting our team when the game is at its most important parts. Not to mention my team is full of literal babies. What am I even supposed to do about that?" Yeah, Alternate. I don't know. I don't know what you're supposed to do about that. That's a little wild, a little crazy. If I'm gonna be honest, yeah, I would not want to play on a team full of babies either. If I'm gonna be honest, but I'm not biased in any means. So let's get into the rankings and what they're looking at like right now. So the Vermonsters are currently the 1 seed at 7-2 with a plus 28 point diff, followed by the Kangaroos, who are 7-2 at a plus 52. These two teams are going to be battling head to head for that first and second seed for sure here. The Bowser Monsters are at 6-3 at plus 5. Huge win against the Monsters, as I previously. I don't even know why I said that. Anyways, then we have the Birdo Rings at 5-4 plus 11. Peach Monarchs at 5-4 at -5. Mangiones at 4-5 at -7. And those are the top 6 seeds. Those are the teams that would be making it to the playoffs right now if the season ends. Simians and DDP and Browntown are all pretty close behind at 3-6. DDP with that -28 point diff is pretty tough. Browntown winning a few games could really get them that 6th seed, I think. Same with the Simians. I think the Simians, Mangiones, and Browntown will be an amazing trio to watch for the rest of this season. And then the Noodlers are 2-7 at -46. They're by no means mathematically out, but there is something big that happened that will be the reason why they are mathematically out now. Browntown has been offering a trade to the Noodlers for a while now, and this trade finally went through after Week 9 finished. In that trade, Browntown receives Yellow Pianta from the Noodlers. That is crazy. That is a star player from the Noodlers that they've just given up. And then the Noodlers received from Browntown the Me CJ, Baby Mario, and a 4th round pick. I'm not supposed to be biased by any means, but I think the Noodlers may have just gotten fleeced here, if I'm being completely honest. I think Yellow Pianta will be the piece that Browntown needs to really get them that 6th seed and maybe even overtake the Monarchs and take that 5th seed. I don't see them taking over the rings, but they could maybe somehow sneak in that 4th seed. But Wario is their only big hitter, and Yellow Pianta will be huge, and he's also going to be huge as a second baseman or a shortstop because of his big hitbox that he has and that big frame that he has. So that's another thing that the Noodlers weren't doing right. They had him behind the plate as catcher. So anyways, that is big, and we'll see how that plays out for the next 6 weeks. Next, we have the box score rankings, and again, pause to see in the top 20 because I'm only going to talk about the top 5 here. So number 5 is Green Dry Bones at 930 box score, and then we have King Boo very close ahead, I guess, at 950, and then K Rule at 3rd at 980, then DK Dangerous Killer at 2nd with 1020, and then PD getting further and further away at 1,260. Then we have the week 10 games here. Starting off, we have the Vermonsters at the Kangaroos, which is a huge game, and that's going to be delegated to the final game of the week for a few different reasons. But I think this is the game of the week here, if I'm being honest. This game very well might just decide who is the 1 seed for the rest of the season, as these two teams have been, very close in the standings since the beginning, really. Then we have the Magiones at the Monarchs, which I think will be an interesting game. The last time these two played, Shohei Ohtani got a walk-off home run to not go into OT against the Mangiones. So I think the Mangiones have a lot to prove here. Browntown at Monsters. Both of these teams have a lot of reasons to really want to win this game right now. Simians at DDP, I think maybe an uninteresting game. These are two. I think the Simians might just take this one, if I'm being honest. But maybe DDP will surprise everybody here. And then you have Noodlers at Rings, and I think this is an easy game for the Rings, especially since the Noodlers just lost Yellow Pianta. So, you know. Anyways, that's all we got for the Week 9 recap. Hope everybody is excited for Week 10, and those videos will be up either later tonight or earlier tomorrow. See you, and keep slugging. Stay warm as it is cold outside right now.